How and then what happens?
You'll be better.
Hmm. Well,
Ask me what happens then.
rather than wait for me to get better, let's just start talking.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hello. If you send, I should offer, if people will send like $1,
Okay.
I'll capture what wasn't captured live right here, what I had
Send it out.
recorded on the phone, and sell that. All right, everyone, welcome to another video in the Coaching Mastery series. We've got a really important, powerful conversation today with an important, powerful person. Is going to join us here in a few minutes. And the whole essence of all of these conversations, the entire series, is coaching mastery. Yes. I think it's really critical that we commit to just getting better and better. And I think most of us don't do that for a number of reasons, but I think one of the reasons is because we're so focused on what do I have to do to just get successful? What's that line? What's the bare minimum that I need to do? And there's an element in our brain that actually desires that. So it's not like, we're losers if we have those shortcut desires and temptations. So there's an element there. But I think there's like our temptations are our itches are being scratched. Let's put it that way. Our temptations are being fulfilled. People are saying, yeah, here's the way to just get high ticket clients, The number of pitches, I don't know how many you get. I get them literally every single day.
Yeah.
The number of pitches of people that go, hey, I help coaches get to $100,000 and blah, blah, blah. It's like we're just being flooded by so much. It's not just the coaching industry. It's not just personal development, but I think there's a huge opportunity to get really successful just by getting really good, but not in that order. You got to get really good first before you command the success, before you command the clients in the coaching world, before you command high ticket prices, etc. So we've been beating that drum from all different angles and all different ways. And today we're going to talk about the difference between changing the ingredient and changing the recipe. Before we get to that, you can watch all the previous videos. You can watch all the replays on our Coaching Mastery playlist, either on YouTube or on Facebook.com/Coach Sean Smith. There's a playlist in both of those places called Coaching Mastery, and you can check out all those. We did a couple mini series, a 4-part series called the 4 Stages of Neuro-Transformational Coaching Success, which are the 4 different ways for you to be successful as a deep work, or not ways, but 4 different stages that you got to go through to be successful as a deep work coach. And a 5-part series called How to Change a Life. You can watch all that stuff. And join us as of the recording right now. We're doing a webinar tomorrow, which is Thursday, August 25th, on how to make really good money as a part-time coach. In yesterday's video, we broke that down a little bit. And in the webinar, we're going to break it down even more and give you specific strategies to do, tell you the stuff you don't need to do, tell you what to do in order to become a good coach. And for most of you, that's going to be part-time. Not everybody, but for most people, it's going to be part-time. All right, so today, let's talk about whether you should change the recipe or change the ingredient. What I mean by that is how much you value you. And that's a self-esteem question, meaning how much do you value yourself as a person? But it's also a business product question, meaning how much do you value the product that you are offering? So if you want to build a coaching business, your coaching is the product. How much do you value that?
Right.
If you don't value your product, you cannot build a business around it. You just can't. Like, it doesn't matter if you've got 10 people that are high-level executives and business degrees and you got millions of dollars in funding. If you don't like the product sucks, or you just think the product sucks, you just can't build a business around it. And I think this is an element that most of us in the coaching industry, we don't talk enough about, because we don't really think of our coaching business as a business with coaching as the product. I think we think of, what can we just do to make money, to get clients, to get high ticket and all this kind of stuff. And I think, I don't want to say that you have to think like a hardcore business person to succeed in coaching, but you also have to understand certain elements of business that the coaching community usually doesn't teach.
Right.
And I'm guilty of that too for a long, long time. So this is one of those elements that I think is really critical, is for us to understand our relationship to the product of the business really matters. Yeah. If we don't believe in the product, why would we sell it to anybody? That just doesn't make any sense, really, right? Right. And a lot of people actually don't believe in the product, but think that they will start believing in the product after people buy it.
Yeah, when they become successful.
Right, exactly. So once I can get people to say yes to my high ticket coaching, then I'll believe in myself. And most people are not talking about that specifically, those exact words, but that's actually what's happening. Right. And so people are trying to increase their belief in the product through other people's buying decisions. And that's just not going to happen, especially nowadays where, coaching isn't new. It's not novel anymore. 15 years ago, yeah, you could get people to hire you as a coach with just sales tactics. And now it's just so much more difficult because everybody's competing on sales tactics, and everybody's heard of coaching. I mean, still there are some people that haven't fully heard about it, but for the most part, it's in the common language. And so it's just a different world. You have to be good as a coach in order to believe in your product. And then you can actually create success in business, because you'll be able to sell your product in a different way, and you'll have conviction. You'll have the energy that so many people are missing. The reason I bring all that up is, if you don't believe in your product, there is no recipe that will work for you, because the ingredient is wrong. If you take the wrong ingredient, which is your understanding of, belief in, connection to, conviction in your product, that's the essential thing that any business is built around, is the product.
Right.
You can't just take a business plan and then stuff, interchange products and think it's going to work, right? Like if you have a business plan for a Starbucks franchise, and then somebody goes, hey, I want to sell beds, in the mall. Okay, great. Let me take my Starbucks business plan and apply it to a mattress store in the mall.
Right.
No, that's not how it works. Or if you're going to walk around and, and sell hotels, developers or something, right? Like, there is no such thing as a business plan that works for all products.
Right.
But because we don't have that information, we as coaches don't have that information. Most of us backed into this idea that we can actually build a business around coaching.
Right. Because
a business isn't just getting money for something, right? If you can get money for something, that doesn't mean that you necessarily have a business. I mean, like in a true foundational business, technically, yes, but there are so many more things that are important. And so if you don't really have the right connection to the product, then you're more likely to think it's the ingredient that's wrong, and everybody else has the right recipe, because everybody else seems to be succeeding in this high ticket world of done for you approaches and all that. But I'm the one that's wrong. My ingredient is wrong. So let me change my ingredient to match the right recipe. That's what so many people are doing. And in reality, it's the opposite that I've seen. Now, if that works for any of you, then please continue doing it. Disregard anything that I have to say for anything that's working for you. I've never once seen it work. If it does, you're probably not watching this channel anyway, right? So I get it. But if it's not working for you, the problem is probably that instead of changing the ingredient, you've got to change the recipe. Meaning that you, as a coach, assuming that you feel good about your coaching and that you are a good coach and that you have a strong connection, you believe in what you do, once you have connection and conviction in that, now the question is, what recipe do I need to build around this ingredient to make this ingredient, which is uniquely you, successful as a business. And if we were to do that, we would disregard most of the stuff that we've purchased, which is actually a good thing. There's nothing wrong with purchasing things and going through programs and all that stuff, and then find that they're not aligned. There's nothing wrong with that. Because most of us need to do that to recognize, I've just been following misaligned recipes.
Right.
So let me find the recipe or build the recipe that starts with my product, my unique product, my person, what I want to teach, my strengths, my weaknesses, my passions, all of those things. That's the product. Now what recipe do I need to follow that is aligned for who I am? But that won't matter unless you feel certain in your coaching. So that's my build up to the conversation I want to have here with Andy. But Michelle, add in whatever you want to add.
I mean, you just said so many good words, like so many good words. If you guys are either just joining now live, or you came in a couple minutes late, or even if you were here from the 0.00 seconds when we started, go back and re-listen to this. I mean, this was so good. When you said, or what I heard was, without the right connection to the product, to coaching, without having that, experience, you mentioned not only do you mentioned being good, right? And I believe not only do you want to be good, but if you have that personal experience, right? Like you have that personal experience with the product, purchasing it, trying it on for yourself, experiencing what it can do for you. When you have that connection to your product and you know that, like, yes, this is the aligned ingredient for me, then I know I'm solid here. Then I can go outside of myself to search for the recipes that are going to make this work, right, in the world, versus what so many of us, and when you were talking, I was like, my gosh, so many of us do this. Me, I did, believing that I'm wrong, believing that I don't have a lot of faith in this product because of all the reasons that you mentioned. So everybody out there must be right. And how do I need to change me to fit into all that? Whew, so good. And then the other thing I want to say is that—
Hold on one sec before you go to another thing. That last piece is really, really important to highlight for most of us, because we are programmed that we are the wrong ingredient. This is a programming. This is not like you're either smart or dumb, and smart people know that they're the right ones. This is a programming, and we are taught by our schooling systems, by our media systems, by our societal systems, sometimes directly in our families.
Yep.
We are usually taught that we are the wrong ones. One of the things that just came up in one of the chapters I was reading in the audiobook is, how many times do parents say, "What's wrong with you?"
Right.
Like little things like that. That we might not as parents say intentionally that I'm telling you you're wrong, but that's kind of exactly what I just said.
Right.
That you are wrong. Right? You spill the milk. What's wrong with you?
That's right.
So we are programmed explicitly and implicitly that we are the wrong ingredient.
Correct.
And if we would change, people would love us. If we would change, people won't abandon us. If we would change, people will like us. And then think about all the social media programming that we now have that is just flooded the human consciousness and our human experiences. I mean, it's all about likes and engagements and shares and all this stuff that we are trying to get other people's approval of us by adjusting who we are, right? Yeah. So I just want to highlight this piece that unless you are extremely rare, like you made it through your childhood unaccosted by all of the programming that we just talked about, and you really did feel good about yourself, and you knew that the world is your oyster and you could create whatever life you want. We hear all the time, you could be anything you want to be and all that stuff, but that's not the programming that most of us have.
No,
if
sir.
You made it through all of your schooling without any of the teachers in the dozens of teachers that you were given, you didn't choose, none of them messed you up. Like if you made it through childhood, you are a rare specimen, still believing in yourself that you are the right product.
Right.
So most people, knowingly or not, have been programmed that if you want to succeed, you need to change. If you want to be loved, you need to change. If you want to be admired, if you want to be accepted, if you want to be not abandoned, you need to change, because who you are is not okay. Most of us were punished at some point in time for being who we are authentically. We tried to sing, we tried to dance, we tried to draw, we tried to do something, we asked questions, and we got punished for it. So we've almost all of us, all with a little asterisk, with very, very rare exceptions, we were all programmed this way. So you're not dumb. It's not your fault. It's not just a switch that you can take, but it is the problem. Back to you.
So good.
Whatever that second thing was that you were going to say.
It's inside of this process. It is valuable, even though I know for myself at various times it didn't always feel good. It felt really, really frustrating. But I just want to reassure everybody that knowing what doesn't work and knowing what isn't aligned is actually very, very valuable, necessary information in the discovery of what will. And so many of us oftentimes are like, I just want to find the thing that'll work. I just want to find the thing that'll work. But then we beat ourselves up for finding and discovering the things that aren't working, when in reality, that's part of it, right? It's a sorting process of like, oh, okay, that wasn't it. Sweet. Okay, so now let me look for something else. And so if you're in that process, or that is part of your story, I just want to reassure you, like that's it. Like that absolutely is the journey inside of discovering and getting to that place where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm creating my recipe, or I discovered my recipe.
And here's what's so great about that. When we look at the actual reasons why people struggle in coaching, it's shockingly similar across the board. There are different details. Why we might not believe in ourselves is completely unique to all of us.
Sure.
But that we don't believe in ourselves is pretty much across the board.
Yeah.
The fact that we don't have certainty in what we're selling is pretty much across the board. Why and what we're trying to do to get it might be different. But if we take a look at the systems of human behavior, why do humans hold themselves back? Why do humans say yes to a business like coaching and then resist all the things? Or why do, sometimes it's strategic things like finding a single seeker for you. And why do we not identify something and then just go with it until it doesn't work and then pivot? Why do we not do all these things? Those are all shockingly similar when we understand human behavior. And that's a great thing, because we can figure it out. It can all be figured out. And the answer is not you need to change as a person. Because if you had to change as a person, my advice to you is don't do this thing, because anything you have to change for is not going to be healthy. It's not going to be fulfilling. It's not going to create happiness. If you have to change to stay in a relationship or to attract a relationship, it's not going to be a good relationship. If you need to change to get a job or to stay on a job, you're not going to have fun on that job. If you need to change to get people to buy your program, stop selling that program, because at some point in time, whatever you build is going to come crashing down, and it will come crashing down on your heart and on your soul. And I'm only speaking from experience. Anything that you have to change yourself for is not for you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have to change.
All right. At some point in time, the you that you are and the you that you're pretending to be, or the you that you're pretending not to be, will trip each other up.
Amen to that. So one of the reasons why we're talking about this particular topic, and that I think went in on it so much, is because of who we have to talk today. Coach Andy. Come on in, Coach Andy.
Hello, and thank you for bringing me in here. It's so wonderful to be here. And what you guys are talking about, the recipe. I mean, I can choose whatever recipe I want, but if I'm not in the recipe, it doesn't matter. And the interesting part about that is even some of the ingredients that I got from you, like finding my seeker and creating content, even some of those ingredients didn't work for me. Like I really had to go back to, look, I know one ingredient, a single ingredient, me, that's it. That's the only ingredient I know. Everything else I had to like, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. All right, here's something works, great. now this doesn't work. And now, but I just had to go through that process. It was so exactly what you just said. It's so powerful. Thank you for saying all that.
And I love that you just jump in and get on a roll. If I'm not in the recipe, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
So what you have, Andy, is you have what you just explained is that you've learned how to think.
Yes.
And then how to decide what to do. Not what most people are learning is what to do and what to think. Yeah. And that'll never create independence. So I'm really happy to hear somebody say, yeah, the first thing you guys told me to do didn't work, but I tried something different. Awesome. Because that means that you have independence. You have a word that we've been highlighting a lot lately, agency. You've got the ability to go, okay, I'm trying this. And we always say it is impossible for us to predict your success. We'll tell you what we would do, but we can't predict our own success. I mean, I've been in this business for 18 years. I don't know if the email that we just sent out is going to work. I don't know if these videos are going to get watched. I don't know. The best thing we can do, and we do it all the time, Michelle and I, because we have so much evidence, is what did we try last time? What are the titles that worked last time? What did we do? What didn't work? Like but we still can't predict anything. So I love the fact that you said, I tried this thing, but then that didn't work for me. But the key piece here is that you pivoted. So before, I want you to tell a lot of what you've been doing and a little bit more about your story, but I actually want Michelle to introduce you. So Michelle, why don't you introduce Andy, please, if you don't mind, because I think you've got a little bit of a connection. I think you know this guy a little bit, and there is a history that I think is super special and very powerful for people to understand.
Yeah. Gosh. Well, what was it? 2019? Yeah.
September of 2019. Yep.
I got an email that was forwarded from Sean that said something that it was to, if I'm remembering correctly, it was to you, Andy, and you shared a lot about your story, and you asked a question, and Sean just said something to me about like, I know you're gonna, like, I just know you're gonna love this guy, or he's gonna touch your heart. And I just read your story, and I think we just scheduled a call, and we just we started connecting on a regular basis, and we coached together for, gosh, how long?
Well over a year for the first little while.
Yeah. And I remember being at one of our master coaches retreats in New York City when I had gotten a message from you that you got your first paying client. And I remember telling Sean, I was like, that dude, that you know, Andy, he just got his first paying client. And I'll let you share where you were at and what was going on in your life and why that was so. I mean, it's always a big deal, and it was just such a big deal for me to be able to. I was so impressed with your reaching out for support, so impressed with your passion, and then to see that we were figuring out how to make it work for you. I really truly fell in love with your spirit, and then watching you grow and evolve in this community, watching the development of your ego and the relationship that you have with those that you serve, and with your own self, and the deep healing that you've done internally and then with others is just, I mean, I when you sent me the email that you sent me about a week or so ago, I just was, there were no words. I really, truly am impressed with your heart and with your passion. And I, yeah, it's, you taught me a lot about myself, about boundaries, and it was really, really cool to be in be in partnership with you inside of this journey. So yeah, Andy Lidstone, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. When I emailed you that first, or emailed Sean, actually reached out, and then Sean forwarded it to you, and we had that conversation. I was below rock bottom. I had attempted suicide. I had been kicked out of a mental institution because they couldn't help me. You know, I had nowhere else to go. Right. I was when you and I first connected, I was living in a homeless shelter. And for that first year and some, you know, I was living on government assistance, welfare, and COVID money, and and when I got that first paying client, it was incredible. It wasn't much. It was only $200, but it was more than I'd ever earned before.
Yeah.
So it was a big deal. And yeah, the conversation you and I had around boundaries, and I explained boundaries the way that I understood them in a completely different way than I'd ever thought of them before, and you affirmed and said, look, I'd never heard anything like that before, and you know, this is unique and wonderful, and it touched me, right? So thank you for all of your support throughout the years, and it's been wonderful. So I'm gonna, if it's okay, dig into what I wrote down, and if you want to interrupt me, either of you, at any point, please do so. But I did take a few notes last night just to kind of gather my thoughts, because I knew I'd be emotional. So here's what I wrote. I knew I wanted to go to ECCP because I'd already experienced coaching with Michelle. I'd also experienced coaching as a coach with my own clients, both with paid clients and free clients, because of my BCC experience, because of just taking the original training. And I wanted to go to the next level. I really wanted to make a full-time business out of it. I'd already missed the first ECCP after taking BCC because I just didn't have any money. Like I said, I was living on government assistance. When I told one of my clients that the next one was coming up, he offered to give me $3,000 to let me go, because I'm in Canada and the conversion from Canadian to American was, you know, a little more money than what you would normally have to pay. And I didn't feel like okay accepting it as a gift, so I agreed to give me a year's worth of coaching. And we agreed, and that was within 24 hours of ECCP starting. So I had to hustle to get in. There was a lot of stuff going on. So it was really worth the experience. And what I got from ECCP, my biggest shift was finally feeling like I'd found my tribe. Not only did I make lifelong friends, but I found people who saw what I saw, valued me for the wisdom that I have. It was the first time anyone other than Michelle herself had told me that my perspective on something made sense to them and helped them evolve their own viewpoint. I felt really seen for the first time in my life by other people. Now, I can tell you that I've made nearly $15,000. Or I can tell you that I've helped over a dozen people, well over a dozen people. Or I can tell you that I have 7 clients right now, 4 of them are paid. But what I'd rather talk about is the man who called me. The man who called me to help calm the chaos in his life so that he can stop beating his wife and kids. 7 children. Or the alcoholic that couldn't stay sober long enough to even have a conversation, let alone a coaching session. But who now has not only has control of his drinking, but he feels empowered to drink only socially, only when there's something to celebrate, and hang out still with his drinking buddies as their designated driver.
Mm.
My confidence now is through the roof. Like I can help people. Although I'm not earning a full-time income yet, I've done no marketing. 80% of my clients have come through referrals. I know with absolute certainty that I can help people because I did so in ECCP during the course. I help people, and I've done a lot more of that since. So when Sean says he'll teach you to scuba dive so that you can choose how deep you can go with clients, I'm living proof of just how deep you can go. And this doesn't even begin to tell my story. It doesn't talk about my boundaries course, as you mentioned earlier. I've just about to launch my course called Unconditional Boundaries. I've done so much work, both on myself, of course, and with other clients. Yeah, it's such a blessing. I'm on vacation. I'm on a vacation I don't have to stop working to take. I love my job. I don't want to stop working. So I'm loving it. You can hear it. This is it's what I do. It's who I am. And I'm the only consistent ingredient. I had to change a lot of things, but I'm still here as me. That's my story. And I thank you both for this opportunity, for being able to share my story, for all that you've done, for all that you teach, for how much time and effort and of yourselves, of your own souls that you put into this work, because it shows. It's helped me and so many others. Thank you both so much from the bottom of my heart.
Some stories, Andy, I think you just took the oxygen out of the room and simultaneously gave it to people to breathe.
Yeah, I see that.
I don't think I've ever had that thought before. Like you took our breath and gave it back at the same time. Just amazing. This incredible. Just beyond words, man. I honor you so much.
No, the honor is mine for sure, because this work is just such a pleasure to do. I love the lives I touch and the lives that have touched me.
And what I really admire you for, similar to what Michelle was saying earlier in her introduction, is your resilience, your willingness to keep going when it's not easy, when it's not fast, when it's uncomfortable. You kept going. And 2019 is when that email came in, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 3 years ago.
Yep.
Time's always relative, depends on how you look at it, what filter. For you to do what you've done and to travel as far as you've traveled in 3 years,
Yeah.
as a human, it's incredible. And I know you've been in this place for a while, so
Yeah.
like you've been in this place of conviction for a good amount of time. So
Yeah.
you know, by my watch is a couple years of and success along the way.
Yep.
Not like a 2-year dash and then you'll be able to do something. It's succeeding and growing and healing and learning and teaching along the way.
Yeah.
Yourself and others along the way. And who you are, I mean, you said it's who I am and it's what I do. Like,
yeah, it is.
It's the essence. Was it yesterday that that Lysandra, it was Lysandra yesterday, said it's in my DNA.
Yeah.
Like there's just a point where you become this work and this work is a part of you.
Yeah.
And it's not for everybody. So we're not saying that this is the road that everybody needs to take.
Sure.
But if you want to have this kind of effect, then you've got to be prepared in this kind of way. It's just it's alignment, like we always say. And you've gone in. I appreciate
to go.
Yeah. You said you were below rock bottom, man. I just, you are the epitome in my mind of human strength. What can the human do when the human decides? You know, people have access to things that you've accessed, and a lot of people just simply choose not to touch it or not to make the decisions that you've made. And I know that you are so driven to help people.
Yeah.
And that's the calling that I think is in a large part is why you just kept getting up.
Yep.
And you kept showing up. And you know, what I love about the story that you told specifically about the man who stopped beating his family is that had he crossed your path, you know, in the very early stages, you wouldn't have been ready for him.
That's right.
But you did the work that you needed to do so that when he was ready for you, you were ready for him.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It is thoroughly incredible. I appreciate you so much. The story is jaw-dropping and so inspiring. If you haven't been reading the comments, you know, go back and read them.
Yeah.
I have been.
And I think it'd be great for you to go back and watch this video when you're not actually in it, and just kind of, you know, be your own audience member.
I intend to.
And see how it, you know, how it affects you on that, from that perspective as well. Michelle, I'll give you the last word here with Andy, because you were in, you know, I remember you telling me what that moment that you shared, but you've been in this journey with him on the phone and in his heart, and he and yours in at much deeper levels. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
Thank you. It's hard for me, like I replied to your email. It's hard for me to find the words that are aligned, that I feel like it's kind of like when I went hiking years ago, and I was standing off of this beautiful cliff, and I took this picture, and I was so disappointed by the picture because I was looking at the cliff and I was like, it just looks like trees. Like, the people are going to see this. They're not going to feel what I feel. And that's how I feel in this moment. I'm just in celebration of you. I'm in celebration of the fact that you are living a life that not that long ago you hoped was possible,
Right.
but didn't know how to get to,
and
couldn't figure out how to get to. And now you're in it, right? Like, you're in that life with the community, with the people, with the support, with the clients, with how you're showing up, with being on vacation, and with being a man, a masculine man here on camera, being and expressing vulnerably from your heart. It is beautiful. And I deeply appreciate the men who have commented and acknowledged and who have seen that power from you. It is so necessary and so important. And I am so happy that you are safe in your own experience, in your own body, to be able to show up authentically as who you are and receive that acknowledgement and celebration and love from both the masculine and feminine energies that are watching this video today. So thank you for that. I'm like, let's see what the next 3 years bring.
I'm in.
Yeah, I believe that. Thank you for just sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your heart. Thank you for being, rock bottom and raising your hand. And thank you for not letting everything that you experienced close you off and close your heart off to what was possible. Thank you for our connection and for the journey that has taken. Not from a place of thinking that I am above you, but from peer to peer. Dude, I'm so fucking proud of you. Like, I'm so proud of you. And I'm in so much celebration. I love you. I really do, Andy. I love you. And I appreciate you deeply. And I look forward to seeing what's next.
So do I. Thank you so much, Michelle, for all those kind words. I also look forward to the next, like, the snowball's going down the hill and I couldn't stop it if I tried.
That's amazing. That's just a beautiful place to be.
Yep, it is.
Yeah. Thank you, Andy, so much for spending the time. And I appreciate that you wrote your words down, because you knew you were going to get a little emotional, and you slayed us and gave us hope and inspiration. Thank you so much.
Thank you, both of you.
Yeah, we will see you soon.
You're welcome.
Can't wait to hear those stories. Like Michelle said, what are the next few years going to be like?
Right.
Oh my goodness. Incredible.
Thank you, Andy.
All right, my
Thank
friend.
you both.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Whew.
Woo! I know.
Yeah. There's not much that I could say, nor do I want to say after that.
Yeah.
Powerful doesn't even begin.
Yeah.
So thank you, Michelle, for
It's
being
possible.
willing. Yeah, it's possible. And what you said is he's living a life that at one time he hoped was real, but didn't believe that it's possible. And nothing else, I don't think, could have told the story for all of you watching this and seeing and feeling Andy's heart. Nothing else could have told that story as powerful as he just did. It's possible if you keep going. Well, I'm done. Drop the coffee mug, drop the highlighter, drop the mouse, drop the computer,
Don't drop the computer.
I won't drop the computer.
Or the coffee.
Yeah, won't do that. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for the comments. We appreciate you. Continue to type it in if you have more to say to Andy directly.
Yeah. Take care, everyone.
Said.
Yeah,
We'll
be
see
here
you in the
tomorrow.
next video.
Bye.